Will Scharf is here, former federal prosecutor, is now running for attorney general in the state of Missouri. We heard so long from Kim Gardner that she was going to fight these efforts to remove her. Why all of a sudden resign?
So, Leland, first of all, it's great to be with you. Yeah. I think the straw that broke the camel's back was a bill that was moving in the legislature that would have effectively stripped her office of the ability to prosecute most violent crimes and instead give that responsibility to an appointed special prosecutor. So Kim Gardner, who is facing an effort to remove her from office, who was facing criminal contempt charges in circuit court in St. Louis, and who had just any number of management issues in her own office, I think she realized that even if she survived all of this, she would have been effectively circuit attorney in name only, and decided to finally throw in the towel today. But it's a great day for St. Louis. It's a great day for those of us who care about the rule of law. And hopefully it'll be a great day for crime victims going forward.
I think about what you're saying, and we've covered the violence in St. Louis and Kim Gardner's ineffectiveness at stopping it extensively. But she was reelected with 74% of the vote, not elected, reelected, on the platform that she put in place. And I'm wondering how, for Republicans especially, who believe that the voters should be heard, how attacking her isn't disenfranchising the very voters who elected her and then reelected her as her, even though sort of despite her policies and their effects.
Well, so I think the issue that the Missouri legislature was confronting is that Kim, who is an elected prosecutor in the city of St. Louis, which is a city of 300,000 people, was effectively dictating crime policy for a huge swath of the state. That St. Louis had become so lawless that we saw crime expanding beyond the borders of the city. The city was a huge drag on economic development and growth in the region. And her own ability to control her office had just completely collapsed. Numerous prosecutors have resigned. Her violent crime unit was, I believe, down to 2 prosecutors, whereas a few years ago it might have had a dozen or more. So I think there was just a growing realization that the situation wasn't tenable from a state policy perspective. So the concerns about local control notwithstanding, I think there was a need for action, and fortunately the legislature appears to have met that need.
All right, fair enough. So now move to 2024, may get a prosecutor who is much tougher on crime, may get an election of someone just like Kim Gardner. She was part of the George Soros-backed wave of prosecutors. George Gascon on one coast. You got some in New York. You got Alvin Bragg. You got one in Philadelphia. You also have Kim Foxx in Chicago, just said she wouldn't run for re-election. If the voters keep electing these people, despite the results, I guess you could say, and what it does to the communities they live in, is there anything to sort of stop this continued wave of Soros prosecutors, or is this experiment now over, you think?
You know, Leland, I think things have gotten so bad in the city of St. Louis. As of now, probably less than 1 in 4 murderers in the city of St. Louis end up going to prison. I think things have gotten so bad that the people of St. Louis, if Governor Parson appoints a good circuit attorney who's tough on crime, who's responsive to the community, my hope would be that we wouldn't have another George Soros-funded prosecutor. And I think in recent months, the business community has really realized that this is a huge problem. You and I spoke once before about the St. Louis Police Foundation stepping up to help fund the salary of the new chief of police in St. Louis. I think just in general, there's a realization in St. Louis among both leaders and the voting electorate that things have just gone way too far here. So I think this is a real potential turning point for the city, and I hope it's a real turning point for the city.
Yeah, St. Louis now ranks among the very lowest in downtown bounce back from the pandemic. They're at 38%, down there with San Francisco and Portland, Oregon, both cities, all 3 cities really, with very similar crime problems. Will Scharf, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Leland.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.